All right, I'm going to talk to you about creating digital magic. So I have this great opportunity working for Disney of getting a chance to work with some of what I believe are some of the top minds, brilliant technologists, creatives, smart creatives across the company. So full disclosure, like I'm tapping the resource of a lot of amazing talent that we have at Disney to create this magic. So it's not totally a Jason show. However, I get to tell you about a little bit of my experience of working at Disney. So first of all, Disney, many of you probably already know, have heard of Disney before, but what's our mission? So this is what we're all about, right? And if I could highlight some words here, we're an entertainment company, but it's about entertaining, it's about inspiring, it's about informing our wonderful human family across the planet with great storytelling. That's what we do as a company. It's interesting, when I started at Disney like 15 years ago, a little over 15 years ago, we just got a new CEO, Bob Iger. And he came into the company, he said, we're going to have three strategic pillars that we're going to run after as a company. And the first, no surprise, is all about creativity. That is, we're going to tell compelling stories, entertain and excite and deliver experiences and products that do that. But he said second, and second only to that is going to be technology. The way that we're going to craft those stories, the way we're going to deliver those, the way we're going to connect with our guest and allow our guests to better connect with us is going to be through technology. And then finally, globalization. We're a global company. Number one, we're going to look for markets where we can bring that entertainment to bear. But more important than that, we want to understand that what we're delivering, the products, the content, must represent and be targeted to the audience who consumes them. Our wonderful, diverse, wonderful human spectrum that is our human family across the planet must be represented both on screen as well as behind the camera in our company. So those are strategic pillars we're focusing on when Bob came in. And really, as you can imagine, as a consequence of that, there was a lot of new things happening at Disney. One of which was we began to add to the creative engine capacity of Disney. Pixar was joined the Disney family officially. And through that, the great storytelling power of those smart creatives at Pixar, we're now delivering new content through Disney. But we didn't stop there, right? So the Marvel Cinematic Universe came into being with the acquisition of Marvel added to that creative engine of the company. And then, of course, one of my personal favorites, right? Lucasfilm, right? Big Star Wars fan, you probably can't tell. Big Star Wars fan, super excited to have the Lucasfilm part of our family and be able to tap those amazing universe from a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away and continue that great saga of storytelling that Lucasfilm started. And of course, it didn't end there. Most recently, the acquisition of 20th Century Fox and that incredible library of content. And again, those great, powerful storytellers joined the Disney family to help us carry forward with our mission to deliver, to inform, to entertain, and to inspire the world through great storytelling. And we're doing that, right? And connecting it, all that coming together through a channel, through our Disney Plus, going global to be able to deliver that content and that digital experience, if you will, of the magic all across the planet. Well, I want to tell you a little bit about like what we do, how we make that happen. And I give you a bit of my story as we go along and what that looks like. As far as our DevOps transformation, there are kind of three areas that were crucial, that were important: technology, of course, leadership, and of course, people, community. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we dig into it. But first, technology. So technology, I love technology, seriously. And I love technology because it amplifies human ability. I heard a interview once with Steve Jobs, and the interviewer was talking to him a little bit about like what inspired Steve to get in technology, start Apple, right? And as he was talking to Steve, Steve related back to an article he once read that was an inspiration to him. And I believe it was in Scientific American. It was this study that was done based on the efficiency of locomotion in the animal kingdom. And what the researcher had done was essentially categorize the entire animal kingdom in terms of their movement efficiency, like kilocal to kilometer, if you think of it, how you would sort of organize that. And so you had this list, Steve said, that he was looking at, and it had everything, you know, giraffes, your lions, your tigers, your bears, oh my. And he said at the very top of the list was the condor. Now that totally makes sense, right? Huge wingspan, so a little bit of energy spent, great distance traveled, right? It's all about what a condor is. So of course he said, but naturally I thought, well, where are we? Oh, where are we in this list? Where's the human family in this list? So it turns out, right? No shock probably to most of us, we're not very efficient at all, like in terms of locomotion. We're way down in the list in terms of efficiency. And Steve said, well, that's interesting. That'd be interesting of itself. But the researcher had the insight to say, but what if I put a person on a bicycle? And when we did that, it blew away the condor way off the chart in terms of efficiency. And the point is this, as a species, right, our value, our extra strength is not in our efficiency. It is in the fact that we're tool builders, technology. And it's at this point in the interview, if you get a chance to watch it, that Steve says this great statement, which is, and I see the computer as the bicycle of the mind. With it, we can see further, at greater scale, greater distances cognitively. And when I think about technology as the ability, and you think about it over the years as tools build upon tools, technology builds upon technology, each layer elevates the human condition, the human experience across the planet. Imagine taking technology and applying it to our businesses in new areas, amplifying our human potential. And that's why I love technology. See, now you kind of get it, right? I'm sure you already did. Well, a little bit about technology across Disney. So here's the groups, right? This is the way we're organized, lines of businesses, if you will. We have our creative engines there on the left. And in each one of those little brands, and by the way, this is not comprehensive. This is not a Lego sheet that logo sheet that has every business unit at Disney, but this is some of the main ones. But in each one of these are groups of technologists, brilliant technologists that are amplifying their business and delivering content. The next one over, that's our distribution. That's how we ship it to our guests, right? Deliver those storytelling experiences to our guests. And then the final is where we turn the story into concrete. The Disneyland Paris or Disney World, right? All across the world where we bring those experiences into concrete, ways that you could see, touch, and feel, especially outside of pandemics, where you can experience it live, right? And that's the intent. So here's my group, this big green bar at the bottom, part of corporate, right? So my goal is to say, how can I help? Right? So as I go into each one of these segments, I drop into each one of these, I say, hi, I'm with corporate. I'm here to help. And this is what they see. Oh yeah, sure, right? Yeah, you're here to help, right? Well, that's not really what we want. We're not the empire coming in to take over, take away your fun. We're here to make IT magical, right? It's part of a community, part of that friendship of bringing technologists together, bringing technologies to the business, helping elevate, amplify what we do across Disney. And that's what I get to do as part of my role. Well, guess what? We have some challenges with those three strategic pillars I talked about. As you can imagine, the company, right, is scaling. The speed at which we got to deliver to the market, right? The expectation that we deliver on time is higher. Our stability is expectation, table stakes, if you will, keeping stuff stable. But here's the problem, right? Stagnation. You get so busy doing all that work, right, that you don't have time to improve the work. You ever see that? How about stress, burnout, cognitive overload because of that speed and scale of trying to get everything done? While that was happening and has happened and is happening at different times inside of Disney, as it is among many companies, but how did we get in front of it? Well, I want to tell you a little bit about my glimpse of it. Again, sort of rolling back to when I started 15 years ago. I joined the group and we were the operators, part of the internet group. And we're part of these silo teams. Everything was a silo. You know what I'm talking about. You see those org charts. You just sort of big walls, barriers to try to get stuff done. And then waterfall. That's how we shipped everything, right? We might get it done in 6 months if we try real hard, or we do the 18-month release, right? That's how things were. Transactional. That is a ticket for everything. In fact, first time I went to the restroom, I thought they were going to ask for the ticket number. You know what I'm saying? It's tickets for everything. Can't get anything done. So slow, queued up, transactional, and then manual. Everything was manual. I'll give you one example. Like all the servers, man, we had to handcraft every one of them. They were fine works of art, independently created and crafted, right? Artisan work, right? And we loved them so much, we even named them. No joke. We had grumpy and sleepy and bashful, right? But here's the problem. When you begin to name things, treat them like pets, you name them, they begin to develop the personality, right? So we had grumpy throwing errors all the time, sleepy, oh wow, high latency, bashful. Well, bashful disappear from the network for days at a time, right? That's the reality. Anyway, you know where all this leads. That's right. Operational heroics, burnout, right? What we're trying to ship, trying to keep stuff running, right? You couldn't scale, couldn't craft enough of these manually handcrafted artisan systems to hit the scale. And then when you did, you're too busy trying to fix the old ones to build new ones, and then trying to get a release out the door. It looked like it almost received a badge of honor if you could go for 24 hours or 48 hours without sleep, trying to keep the release running in production. Ever been through stuff like that? Yeah, that's burnout. Like R2's friend here, you just burn out, right? And that was not going to be sustainable. It is not humane, and it had to change. So we changed our name. No joke, that's what we did. We literally just changed our name, but it had a great effect. The intent was, as we began to become systems engineers instead of operators, we changed how we perceived ourselves. We weren't just those who were operating the train. We began to be those who engineered, built the train, the tracks, the bridges, right? That was the intent. We began to engineer our future. And as part of that, we became embedded with the teams that we were supporting, in the product teams, the business teams. Super important to get that connection. We moved to Agile as a methodology of delivering and shipping value. We begin to be more integrated, less transactional. Instead of queues, we created self-service tools, and then automation, right? Instead of handcrafting servers, we leveraged automation, configuration management, things like using tools, even Chef or Puppet, but then embracing the cloud, building infrastructure through code, coupling that code for the infrastructure with the application code, containerizing applications, even getting rid of servers at times, but is leveraging technology to be able to get a lot more scale and speed out of what we're trying to do, driving the value. Well, that gave us back a lot of time, but what we began to see then was like the next generation of focus for us was on reliability. Now that we had time, let's focus on delivering more reliable applications and experiences. And so we had reliability engineering surface in our group, as well as software engineering of platforms to abstract away the complexity of all the infrastructure, essentially productize operation wherever we could. And how did we do that? Well, we had these SRE teams, these tech evangelists that were helping champion that. And then we had T-shaped teams that we were augmenting to. T-shaped teams in the sense of, I'm sure many of you have heard, you've got the horizontal bar of empathy. That is, you understand all the disciplines, right? At least a very thin layer of it, enough to be empathetic and have an understanding to lean in and help. But then you have that vertical depth in your discipline. Could be systems, could be quality, could be software, it could be security. All those different vertical depths now encompass a team so the team is well-rounded. And then Self-service platform, super important, right? Productizing the operation would require, and software everywhere. Now, suddenly your infrastructure is essentially, it's some code check-in, peer review, right? That's how infrastructure is now managed, which allowed us to go faster, higher quality, greater scale, and higher reliability. So that's our job now, right? So that's what I get to do is like help and work with a lot of teams across Disney. And by the way, this Venn diagram here on the right, which some seem to think looks like a Death Star, but it's not the intent. But it is this whole concept of how can we pull those in traditional technology into new platforms. And it's this virtuous loop, like new technology keeps coming out, right? So you have this constant pull in of moving the business forward by the teams being embedded with all these different groups across Disney to help us elevate this knowledge of reliability engineering and where we want to go with new technology. The goal is this, right? And I heard you talk a little bit about Jonathan Smart's book. We have a very similar concept, right? Better, faster, safer, happier. It's all about that. How do we go higher quality? Disney's all about plussing it. That is taking it to the next level of quality. Go faster. Got to give it to market faster. Remove friction so the innovation becomes reality even quicker, and safer. That's super important. Securing both our guest data as well as our company data. And then happier, right? Happy people produce happy products, and we're about happiness. So let's do happy, all right? And that's what it's about. Here's the hypothesis we had, right? Real quick, is how if we started improving relationships, process, talent, technology, and community, what would we begin to see? Well, we believe to meet those goals, right, we needed to do and run after that. And so that was what we conducted from an experiment standpoint. And what we saw in relationships is it turns out that to get things done well with speed requires empathy and trust. And the way we did that was like the embedded approach that I talked about, right? And to encourage that across all our technology groups, right? To do the same thing, get very close to the problem, close to the business and to the people. And then process, I already mentioned this, like ticket, queue, right? We had this case where if you wanted a public cloud account, you submit a ticket and then you wait a couple of weeks and then you escalate and you wait another month and then you escalate, right? And maybe a month later, a couple of months later, you have your cloud account. Forget about it, right? We create tools. You go to this, a portal, enter your data, it gets mapped to the right business unit, and suddenly you have your cloud account in 5 minutes, right? Where can we do more of that, right? To help our business go faster. That's helping improve process. And of course, talent, super important. The right type of leadership helps organizations move forward. This isn't it. Now, to be fair, to be super fair, this guy works for us. I'm just saying, the guy, right? We have this challenge, and I'm sure others do. How many of you have ever had this type of a leadership that you've had to work under, right? Fear, power-oriented, command and control. Or how about this one? Bureaucracy. Hey, listen, to be fair, the bureaucrats put laws and rules in place because they want to do the best thing for the company. I get that, right? That's true, they do. But the problem is it slows things down, it creates latency and friction to getting things done. Some of it you have to ask, is this even needed today? Or is it the best way to get the value out? Well, we believe that the right model, and these are all coming from like the Western model of leadership or culture, is this generative approach. That is, let's empower the edge. Where the magic happens, it's at the edge. And in this knowledge worker economy, if you can unlock the edge, you can unlock your company and the potential within your people to take it to the next level. We believe that, right? Believe that. And here's a great example of it. When we acquired Pixar, I heard this story from Ed Catmull talking about this. He was given the charge, Hillman and John Lasseter, when they came into the company, you got to go reboot Animation Studios. It really had a string of no hits. Nothing special had been coming out from Animation Studio for years. It all had been Pixar. And so Ed said that to some degree they were dreading going in and trying to figure out what they need to do. They figure, well, okay, we have to pull in new talent. We got to help pull in new talent to reboot the Animation Studio. He said, but that's not what he found. When he showed up on the ground, you know what he found? The issue wasn't the people, the creative talent was there. The issue was the management. And they had to remove the barriers to unlock the potential. And it's the same team that had no hits, no great blockbusters coming out of animation studio for years, suddenly start producing things like Tangled, Frozen, Wreck-It Ralph, right? Because they had unlocked the potential. They had gated the barriers that was prohibiting all this creative talents and delivering magic. So super important when you think about talent. Technology, I've talked about that, the importance of technology. Well, what are some of our results? So I'm going to flip through a few of these, one of which was a great example. Our brilliant Imagineers, as we're working on the Galaxy's Edge attraction, Smuggler's Run, had all the software needed to be developed to ship as part of that attraction. And all of it was done CI, CD, such that code was checked in, was built, tested, and was available for the mock-up lab to be able to select. So you could, as a tester, select the build that you want to experiment with, see immediately what was working, not working, get that feedback loop. And it's all about that. Closing that feedback loop so we could improve the experiences, even to the point of, think this, you're on a ride vehicle, and as a technologist, you've got your laptop out, you see a bug, you check out the code, fix the code, check it back in, auto builds, it's available, next power cycle, guess what? You're experiencing and that new code. That's the intent, like that's the way of unleashing potential through technology. And our Imagineering teams are doing that in all these different areas. And we've had a great opportunity to help accelerate and express that for our guest, if you will. Embracing serverless magic, right? All these applications used to be the really powerful, thick apps. Forget about it, right? Most of them can just be serverless at this point. You don't have to manage the servers, reducing your threat surface, right? Number one, from a security standpoint. Second, look at that, reduced complexity of being able to ship just what you need to be able to deliver an experience in high scale, leveraging cloud technology to be able to make that happen. We've done that over and over again. Even some complex like applications are leveraging things like serverless to make that happen. And then community, people. It's all about people, right? And the important part of this is helping raise awareness of new technologies and inspiring, creating a forum similar to this, where people can come and talk, and you can network, and you can meet up, and you can connect on not only technologies, but problems that you're trying to solve together. Well, we do that through this Jedi Engineering Training Academy we host internal to Disney. And in this, we invite these experts to come in and speak to us, as well as internal experts to come and talk about the projects they're working on internal. And then we allow the community to workshop, work through problems, see some innovation, adopt it, use it, test it, and connect. Super important to build community technology. And you saw it. You saw the whole logo graph we have. We're a huge company. How do you get all those different groups to connect? Well, this is a way that we're trying to do that internal, to meet this better, faster, safer, happier objective that we have as a group. And we're on our mission, and we're still on our journey. And it all gets back to something our founder of the company said, Walt Disney himself. There's really no secret about our approach, right? I'm telling you it today, but here it is. We keep moving forward. That's it. Opening up new doors, doing new things because we're curious, and curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. So my advice to you all, stay curious, keep moving forward. So with that, I thank you.